Up YouTube? Okay. I don't like that intro anymore. Or my hair today. What's up, guys? So today I'm going to talk about meal prepping and basically what works for me and how I go about choosing my foods and things like that. I plan on trying to do a meal prep like how-to video very often. Like, I always want to keep you guys updated with what tips I'm using and what tricks I use to meal prep and keep my foods good, and just kind of like how to go about doing it, because I know that it can be tough. People ask me all the time how I meal prep because I've been doing it for like really years, and I've had many different ways of doing it, and so yeah, I just have lots of practice meal prepping. So that's kind of what I want to go over with you today. So let's get to it. So first things first is you have to make a plan. You have to know what your week looks like and know what days you're going to need meals for, and that way you're not like wasting food, because I know that on the days that I'm really busy I have to take my food with me, but the days that I have time to cook, or I'm just kind of hanging out, I don't really want to eat meal prepped food. So I like to look at my week in advance and say, like, okay, Monday, Wednesday, and Friday I'm going to be at work all day, so I need to prep food for those days, but Tuesday and Thursday I'm going to be home, so let's maybe prep like one meal in case I'm out, but I'm going to cook the rest of my food probably, so that way I'm not wasting food and I have meals ready for what I need. With that, get a planner. Like, seriously, I'm not kidding. Planners help me so much. I am obsessed with my planner. I plan what days I'm going to be gone all day. I always look at what I have to do. I look at everything, and that just helps my meal planning go so much more smoothly. I know like about when I'm going to get to eat, so how many meals I'm going to need and things like that. With that said, I personally eat 5 meals and usually like a snack, or I'll have like a bigger meal. I'll combine my snack and my meal every day. So I only prep 3 of those meals because I like to cook my breakfast in the morning and my dinner at night, which is usually breakfast again, because breakfast is life. So I prep my 3 meals that I'm going to eat out while I'm at work usually. And I structure them based on my workouts. So I work out at 1 usually. That's like my time, or that's the beginning of my break time. So that's usually when I work out. So I have a carb heavier meal before my workouts. I have a protein heavier meal after my workouts. And then I'll usually have a snack while I'm at work. So that could be like a wrap, like a veggie wrap or a chicken and veggie wrap or something like that. And then sometimes I just do like a meat and a veggie or something of that sort, but it's usually a lot smaller and less calorically dense meal for me. And then I eat a bigger meal before I go to bed because I'm not going to sleep if I'm not full. So that's what works for me, and I'll show you guys more of that in a few. So how I pick my foods, I eat the same foods pretty much all the time. I know that's really boring, but with meal prepping you can't really just get like fancy with it, because fancy food and elegant food and all of that great stuff, like creative foods, just don't reheat well, or you can't eat them cold well. It just doesn't taste as good. So I have a couple meals that I know really satisfy me, so those are like my go-to staples. And you have to find those for yourself, because what works for me might not work for you. But for me, I always pretty much, well, not always, but pretty much always eat a turkey burger with green beans and either red potatoes or sweet potatoes for one of my meals. My next meal is usually chicken with, what do I eat with that one? Chicken and broccoli and rice. Either jasmine or brown are my favorites, so I eat those a lot. And then for my last meal, I either eat chili, like I'm obsessed with chili. It's the easiest thing in the world to cook because I throw it all in a pot and simmer it and then it's done, and I like that. That works for me. Or I've been eating these little wrap things lately that have like spinach and hummus and some sort of sandwich meat just wrapped in like a low carb tortilla thing. And that's been actually keeping me really full. And then breakfast, I've already shown you guys my breakfast in previous vlogs, so I think I did it in like 2 full day of eating vlogs, so go look at those if you want to see what breakfast I eat pretty much every day. And then dinner, I eat different stuff all the time for dinner. Sometimes I go out to eat, sometimes I make breakfast again because I love breakfast, and then sometimes I'll make, yeah, it just really depends on what I'm feeling. So that's how I do that. The best way to go about planning what you're going to put in your meal prep containers is pick a protein. So chicken or turkey or ham or anything like that. Eggs don't usually reheat well, so I wouldn't do that. But chicken, protein, turkey, any meats like that prep really well. And then pick a carb. So we like complex carbs more than simple carbs, meaning they digest over a longer period of time. I usually go for things like brown rice or jasmine rice, like I previously said, or red potatoes or sweet potatoes are always good. Sometimes I keep rice cakes on hand, like at all time, just for a quick carb source if I need them. Apples and fruits, strawberries, things like that are a lot of carbs. They're simple carbs and have a lot of sugar, so be careful with those, but yes, those prep pretty well. And then pick a vegetable, which is still a carb source, but everybody loves their veggies, so I usually do my staples are like the more green veggies, so I'll do spinach, so like a salad, or I'll do broccoli or asparagus or something of that sort, and I just pick those and then put them all together in a container and then save them. A tip with your veggies though, I don't cook all my veggies for the whole week. So what I do is I prep all of my meats on Sunday for the whole week because they usually last. Well, I prep for 5 days because Saturday and Sunday I never, like my schedule's so crazy that I don't prep for those days, but I prep all my meats on Sunday, and then on Tuesday and then on Thursday I'll prep my veggies and my carbs usually, like those days. So for like 2 or 3 days at a time, just because they don't really taste good reheated, so I like to make them fresher. They just don't last as long as the meats do, but I've never really had a problem with my meats lasting all week or anything like that. So someone asked me a really good question about what kinds of veggies I choose. Do I choose frozen or do I choose fresh, and how I cook them? I do frozen because they last longer for me, because I like to have a variety of veggies to choose from, so if I buy a bunch of fresh veggies, there's a really good chance that they're gonna go bad. So I do frozen, and apparently you can just let them thaw and then cook them in the microwave later, like when you're reheating your meals. I personally don't do that. I pretty much bake everything or saute everything and then reheat it. I just think it tastes better. You can drizzle some olive oil on it for some healthy fats and things like that, but yeah, I don't let it thaw and then heat it in the microwave. I just cook them all. I cook all my foods and then put it in a container and reheat it later. So how I go about structuring my meal plans for the week, because I obviously have specific goals. I like to train for my workouts and things like that. There's 2 ways you can go about picking out your foods. One way is just eat intuitively. Know when you're full, eat when you're hungry, things like that. Eat healthier foods, take healthier snacks with you like almonds and stuff. Or you can use MyFitnessPal, which is what I do. I love this thing. I actually am probably going to do a how to use MyFitnessPal video, or how I use it at least, just because I do think it's a very valuable tool to allow you to know what kinds of calories are in your, or what kind of macronutrients are in the foods that you're eating. Your macronutrients are your proteins, your carbs, and your fats. So I'll probably do a video on that in the future about what proteins, carbs, and fats are in your macronutrients and how they all come together, and how you can use MyFitnessPal to learn more about, you know, what's in your foods. But if you've never played around with MyFitnessPal or you're kind of familiar with it, I enter all my foods in there for the week, and then that's kind of how I adjust how much and what I'm putting in my meals. It's just a really good tool for me, so I love it. Okay, so I realize that this has been a lot of me rambling about how I meal prep, and a lot of it's probably confusing, and it is kind of confusing. So I'm going to recap everything I've talked about in this video. I have talked about sticking with the staples, so knowing what foods satisfy you, what meals satisfy you. I've talked about picking a protein, a veggie, and a carb source for all of your meals. That's just the way you should do it. It just works well that way for me, at least. And then I know I'm getting all my macronutrients and my micronutrients. I've talked about not prepping all of your foods in advance. Prep every couple of days, just because, you know, it saves time, less time cooking at once, and because like things like carbs and veggies don't really last the whole entire week, whereas your meats do. So you can prep your meats on one day and then cook your carbs and your veggies throughout the week. Plus it doesn't take long, like maybe 10 minutes if you do it right. That way you have fresher foods and they just taste better. And I've talked about using MyFitnessPal to pick out what foods you're going to eat, or just eat intuitively if you don't have specific goals that you need to count your calories for. If you're just trying to be healthier and make better decisions, you can just use intuitive eating and just make good decisions. So yeah, I am going to make more vlogs like this, so hopefully I will eventually get all of your questions answered. But if you do have any questions, feel free to, you can DM me on Twitter, or just call me or text me or email me or whatever works, and I will answer any questions you may have. But for now, bye!